I haven't been as excited about a boot in a long time. This is Unmarked's DB Hunter in navy Chromexcel, and I'll break it down for you in this video, but spoiler alert, I like it. G'day, welcome back to Bootlosophy, and if we haven't met yet, my name is Tech. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and waterways I live and work on, the Whadjuk people. Now, straight into this, the Unmarked DB Hunter in navy Chromexcel. A beautifully designed service boot with quality materials and made with incredible attention to detail. As a boot reviewer, you get to like certain boot brands and certain boots. You all know my preferences towards service boots. So this style is not unknown to tickle my fancy. And you also know I get interested when I'm reviewing a small boot brand because I like finding out what makes them different. But it's not often I get a twofer because Unmarked is a brand I've heard of but not known to me, and what I see excites me. Now up front, be aware that these boots were given to me for review, but I haven't been paid to say nice things. So as usual, you're going to get my as objective as possible pros and cons review in this video. Let's start with the design style of this boot. It's a service boot. I mean, you could possibly call it a work boot for light to medium duty, I think. But to be honest, in this style of boot, the line between service boot and work boot gets kind of grey and blur. I've placed this in the category of service boot, not because of sturdiness or lack thereof, but because it fits certain characteristics that I have in my head about service boots. It has a flat sole and a low heel. It has a derby style open lacing system with 5 generous size eyelets and 3 big speed hooks. It has generous quarter panels, and the backstay is a 2-piece supportive backstay. There's a toe cap with broguing, reminiscent of a Viberg service boot. It's about 6.5 inches in the shaft, measured from the top of the heel, so it's taller than most, but it is reminiscent of paratrooper boots with a higher shaft to support the ankle. The last, like modern service boots in the heritage style boot market, is sleek and slim, but clearly quite rugged, and it's put together like old style service boots with the stitched down form of construction, which I will go into when I talk about construction. As a service boot, I would normally think of wearing a sleek shape like this in and up to a dressy style like professional business casual, except that in this color with the contrasting stitching and the contrasting midsole with the bright brass hardware and the rawhide leather laces, I found them a bit out of place with my usual professional wear of dark chinos and more formal blazers and button-ups. However, dress down that look a little bit and I think you can get away with it. Here I am with the boots under a sandy coloured pair of chinos and a chambray shirt to dress the whole look down. I think you can add a sporty casual sports coat, but that's probably as dressed up as you can go with the stitching and the more rugged look of the boots. A smart pair of dark jeans though, with a crisp white shirt and rolled up sleeves, says casual and relaxed but still office-like, and suits the boots much better if you wear them to an office. Suffice to say, wear them with dark fades or workwear and they're good. Now, before we look at the brand, let me remind you to click on like and subscribe and check out my affiliate link to Unmarked in the description area below. If you decide to buy using that link, you don't pay any more, but I do get a small commission of around 5 to 6% to help fund this channel. And if you're in any way inclined, please check out my new leadership management and business channel, techo.com. There are a few videos out on it now, so go take a look, and I hope you sub to that too, and I hope you like it too. Okay, Unmarked. I have heard of Unmarked, but it was always on the edges of my awareness, you know. A small Mexican brand that I hear about or I see on Instagram now and then. Watching YouTube reviews and on various Reddit discussions, they seem to be a well-respected brand, but not too many people talk about it. So my first impressions were, aha, Mexican brand, made in Leon. Interesting boot styles from Western to service boot. Stick a pin in it for later. When I got these boots and I started researching Unmarked, I realized I'd made a mistake and I should have paid more attention to them earlier, based on these boots, which I'll talk about later, but also on their history and design philosophy, which, as you know, I'm really interested in. Unmarked was founded about 10 years ago by Chinese-Mexican Hugo Fons, or Fonse. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so please forgive me. For all the reasons that founders start their brands, he found his drive centered around traditional shoemaking craftsmanship, believed in the heritage methods, but then adding his own contemporary designs. In their publicity material, they emphasized being meticulous about their work, about making things that last as timeless masterpieces, and about being durable and exceptional quality and being unique. I'll tell you if I think they've embodied that philosophy in these boots when I go into construction. In doing so, they make their boots in Leon, Mexico, quite often referred to, and I think over the last 10 years or so, really living up to its name as the shoe capital of the world, where everything you need to make boots is integrated and available in the one city. Check out my interview with Rudy Hurtado. Unmarked have their own workshop in Leon, so not subcontracting to a big factory like Thursday or Drew's does. They control their quality and output. But this also means slower production and stock availability. In fact, with only a few ready-to-wear pairs, most of their boots are produced once you order them. This allows them to control costs, including warehousing costs and inventory costs, but also allows them to control quality. I experienced it myself because the delivery of these boots was held up several weeks, and when I inquired, I found that after actually making my pair and about to send them out, they discovered a fault and started again. Now that's quality control. If it matters to you, they're also a fair trade company, which means that they pay and aim to receive fair prices while also using majority local material and labor. Their workshop produces a stunning range of footwear, which you can see on their website. I'll put a link below, and if you go there, you'll see they produce for men and women. They produce shoes and boots. And in men's boots alone, there's something like 50 different models. They use Goodyear welt, hand welt, and stitch down forms of construction in making a dizzying array of styles, from cowboy boots to lace toe boots, to Chelsea boots, work boots, jodhpurs, and service boots. There is something for everyone. Okay, let's go into construction and share my excitement. Starting from the bottom, this pair of DB Hunters is stitch down. This means that they last the boot and then splay out the uppers over the midsole and stitch it down. In some stitch down boots, there may not be an insole because the midsole forms both insole and midsole, but I think this one does have a veg tan insole and cork filling. The stitch down stitch fixes the uppers to the midsole, and the second one then goes all the way around the boot, stitching the midsole to the glued on rubber outsole. And at the toe, this also goes through the uppers, hence the double stitch at the front. The double row is not as clean and precise as, say, a Viberg, but remember the difference in price. However, it is still clean and with a pretty good and consistent stitch density. The outsole is good quality UK brand Day Night, and you can see the existence of a shank with a slight bow under the arch. The cowboy boot heritage can also be seen in the use of brass nails under the arch, so that, nothing is going to come apart with all that glue, nails and stitching. The heel is stacked veg tan leather, topped by a day-night studded top lift. Now, just a note, their website says the outsoles are Itzhide, another UK company, so I'm guessing they switch between the two. The day-night grip is good on dry ground, on sand, tiles or concrete, and from personal experience, good in mud and wet, soft ground, but a little slippery on wet tiles and smooth pavers. But it's pretty durable, and it wears less than some proprietary studded outsoles like those used by Thursday or Grant Stone. The heel counter is leather, and it's quite malleable actually, so it's comfy and it doesn't dig into your Achilles. There's a really nice shape to the back of the heel here. The boots are fully lined inside with soft calf leather, even up the shaft, and uppers and lining together is about 4 mils thick, so that's quite thick. The tongue is unlined and semi-gusseted up to the third and fourth eyelet. Inside, immediately under your foot, is a veg tanned, full-length comfort liner with no feeling of foam underneath, but I think you can feel the cork at the ball of the foot. The combination inside the boot is really, really comfortable. I find the last also nicely designed and balanced. I'll talk about sizing in a minute, but if it's well fitted, it hugs the foot in all the right places, and despite the pointiness of the toe box, it's not squeezy at all. Looking in fact down on the toe box and the toe cap, it reminds me of the Truman 79 last shape, because it comes in from both sides rather than like some almond-shaped toe last where the outside comes in more than the big toe side, which is straighter. The length of the last is slightly longer than the Truman 79 in the same size, and in my opinion, this fixes the look of the toe cap for me from the Truman 79, which has always looked kind of short but pointy. This last, the 2012 last, fixes the look and makes it less kind of stumpy for the length. Looking at the uppers, the broguing on the toe cap is meticulously punched. It is symmetrical, even and clean. I don't think this is a real toe cap, being an extra piece of leather. It feels reasonably unstructured to me, other than the lining underneath. The triple stitching on the front of the quarters is pretty much perfect, perfectly spaced and even. So is the double and triple stitching on the backstay, where I could literally run a protractor between the stitch lines and show how evenly spaced they are, and with incredibly close stitch density, like, I don't know, a gazillion stitches per inch. The clicking is good, but not exceptional. One pair of Oak Street bootmakers that I have, and 1 out of 3 pairs of Vibergs, I have had perfect clicking or leather selection, because every piece on those boots shows the same sign of rolls and wear quite evenly. And these, the shaft does show a little bit more creasing, possibly loose grain, the so-called lottery of Chromexcel. But if it is, Unmarked have done the right thing and chosen the looser leather for the shaft, where you won't see it when it's under your pants. Again, if you compare the clicking with Viberg, remember the pricing, because choosing perfect leather pieces for all the pieces means throwing a lot of the hide away and then ending up with a more costly product. This is my first blue Chromexcel and I like it. The navy is not as dark as I imagined, and I think has, from certain angles, some inner olive and sea green under the aniline finished navy. This is going to wear and patina in all kinds of interesting ways, not least of all getting a T-core effect where the underlying brown shows through. But I'm waiting to see the variations of blue and green across the whole boot. Finishing off with construction, the hardware is solid, good quality. The eyelets are just pressed in with no backing washers. I can't see how the speed hooks are back because the lining goes over them, which is interesting because it protects the tongue where you normally see scratches. The laces are good quality rawhide, and to me they feel like the wax rawhide laces you get from Whites or Nicks. The collar is rolled under the lining, so it's finished well with the dinkiest damned stitching around the edge. The cloth pull tab, with what I take to be traditional Mexican embroidery, I find useful to pull on this slightly taller boot, and because it's cloth, it doesn't hang your jeans up. I've reviewed so many Chromexcel boots, so Leathercare is no different if you go and have a look at my other Chromexcel reviews. Brush a lot to keep the natural oils and waxes in the Chromexcel moving and even along the leather. Keep the leather clean from dust and gritty dirt. When feeling dry, which depending on how often you wear these, maybe from 1 to 4 times a year perhaps, you can condition them with my go-to for Chromexcel, a couple of thin coats of neutral Venetian shoe cream that you allow to dry and then buff off. If you want, you can apply some neutral shoe cream for shine, and if you want even more shine, although why would you with a boot like this, you can apply some neutral hard wax and polish off. You can, if you want, apply navy boot cream and or boot wax, navy colored, but personally I like this aniline dye which sits on the surface to naturally patina and show some of the undercolors. To each their own. Now to sizing. I measure 8.5 in D width in US sizing on a Brannet device. That's 8.5 heel to toe as well as heel to ball. My D width is on the edge of E width, especially with my right foot. I usually wear US heritage boots in an 8D. So that's what I take in heritage brands like Ellen Edmonds, Wolverine, and Alden, as well as the newer brands like Thursday, Grantstone, and Parkhurst. I was advised to go true to size and Unmarked rather than size a half down. So these are in 8.5 and it's a great fit. Their website says this last is an E width. I don't know. I think it's a D width to me because there's not a lot of flabbiness side to side. It's snug. In fact, when I first started wearing them, the ball of my right foot would hurt at the end of the day, and it wasn't until I used a boot stretcher on that area that it gradually eased off. How does the right size fit? Like a snug glove. It really gets that firm handshake feel all around the boot. The volume up the instep is just right for me, and the support up the ankle and calf with a slightly higher shaft is firm and dependable. Break-in was not a serious issue due to the Chromexcel being a bit stretchy and the stitch down construction. Less layers you see under your feet trying to stop you bending when it's new. So no heel slip, hardly any, and the boots were totally comfortable after maybe a week of wear. Through the day, I can't say I forgot I'll get these boots on, you know, you do have boots on, but they feel supportive rather than uncomfortable through the day, if you see what I mean. I am super impressed by these boots and therefore by extension by this brand. I really think this does embody the philosophy of being meticulous and exceptional in quality. And I do feel that this is a durable boot and could well be a timeless masterpiece. To me, the design is unique enough. I think it does tick off a lot of boxes that they have set up for themselves. So my view of the value. These cost US $490. What's similar? I think they give Oak Street bootmakers a run for their money with their Chromexcel trench boots coming in at $488 US. I think quality is similar, with Unmarked having the edge on attention to every detail on this boot. Truman don't use Chromexcel as much, but their comparable double shot leathers are US $410, and I think there's a lot more attention to detail and consistency in the Unmarked product. Parkhurst also don't use CXL much, but their smooth stitch down models are in the low 400s, and quality is a little bit more rugged than Unmarked, so the price difference is, I think, fair. As usual, Grant Stone's an outlier with the CXL diesel models selling for the mid 400s, might have gone up a little bit, and the quality is similar. All in all then, in my opinion, the Unmarked DB Hunter price matches the value to me, and the comparisons seem to bear that out. The disadvantage, you would have to wait a couple of weeks to get your boots while they make them. But truthfully, due to their QC, that could be a good thing. And for those of us who do not live in the US, waiting for our boots to arrive, so what else is new? So there it is, folks. I've discovered another brand I like. I'm really tempted now to buy a couple of other Unmarked models, especially a Chelsea boot and a model that they call the all-purpose boot. And also I'm interested in some of their wedge soles, like their workman boot, because it really looks good. The balance in their designs really appeals to me. More boots. We'll see, eh? Until then, don't forget to click on the like button below, and if you haven't already, I hope you consider subbing. In a few weeks, I'm going to be reviewing another Unmarked boot, new for their 24-25 release. Keep your eye out for more boot reviews from me, and until the next time, take care out there, keep safe, and see you again soon.